Okay, I want you to picture something. Imagine a civilization building enormous pyramids at the exact same time as the ancient Egyptians, but they're thousands of miles away, totally hidden in the Americas. Now, this isn't some sci fi movie. It's the real story of a lost world that rose up in a barren desert and left behind a legacy that would literally shape a continent. So let's dive in and uncover the incredible story of the lost pyramids of Caral.
So let me just ask you a quick question. When you think of the very first great civilization in the Americas, who pops into your head? The Maya, maybe the Aztec, or the Inca, right? And look, those are all absolutely incredible cultures, but they're kind of the new kids on the block. The real answer is much, much older.
All right, check out this timeline. Over here, you've got Sumer in Mesopotamia kicking off around 3500 BCE. Then you've got Egypt's Old Kingdom getting started around 3100 BCE. But look at this, right there. At pretty much the exact same time, you have Caral flourishing in what's now Peru around 3000 BCE. This discovery literally rewrites the history books. Yep, you heard that right. The pyramids and cities of the Caral civilization are 5,000 years old. That makes it the oldest known civilization in the Americas, and not just by a little bit, but by a huge margin. So how in the world did America's first metropolis even happen? And for me, the most fascinating part of this whole story is where it happened. You'd expect a lush jungle or maybe a fertile valley, right? Nope. It was in the bone-dry Sube Valley of Peru, a place that looks like the last spot on Earth you'd choose to build a great civilization. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. Caral isn't just an interesting local story, it's a global one. It's considered one of only 6 cradles of civilization on the entire planet. That means it's in the same league as Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, and China, places where society just popped into existence from scratch, completely on its own, with no outside help. Which, of course, brings us to the biggest mystery of all. How did they pull it off? See, most ancient civilizations were built on a surplus of grain, like wheat or corn. But Corral's economic engine was something totally different, and frankly, it was just pure genius. Their secret weapon, the one thing that powered their entire society, wasn't gold. It wasn't a superfood. It was cotton. And I know what you're probably thinking. Wait a second, you can't eat cotton. And you're exactly right. So how did they turn a simple plant into the foundation for a massive city? Well, their strategy was brilliant. Here's how it worked. They used the rivers in their dry valley to irrigate and grow massive amounts of cotton. Then, they took that cotton and wove it into these incredibly strong, durable fishing nets. Think of it like high-tech gear for the time. They'd then trade these nets to the fishing villages all along the coast. In return, they got a massive, constant, reliable supply of fish and seafood. They essentially turned cotton into protein. It was a masterstroke. Okay, so they've got their food supply locked down and a booming economy. So, what kind of society did they build? Well, this is where the story of Caral takes another really surprising turn. They built these monumental structures, but it seems they did it without all the warfare and violence you see in so many other ancient empires. And the scale of their building projects was just staggering. We're not talking a few huts here. We're talking 6 huge pyramid complexes. The Great Pyramid alone was 18 meters high. That's like a 6-story building, and over a football field and a half long. They also built these really cool sunken circular plazas for public ceremonies. You just don't build stuff like this unless you have a highly organized state that can mobilize thousands of workers. But here's the thing that really blows my mind. In a world where other civilizations were building massive defensive walls and stockpiling weapons, archaeologists at Caral have found, well, none of that. No fortifications, no battle axes, no bodies with signs of violent death. Instead of building walls to keep people out, they built these wide-open, welcoming plazas to bring people together. It seems like they invested all their energy into culture and community instead of conflict, and we have the proof. Archaeologists have found 32 beautifully made flutes carved from pelican bones and 37 cornets, kind of like trumpets, made from deer bones. It was a society that valued harmony, both literally and figuratively. They were also incredible administrators. This right here is a quipu, a super complex accounting system that uses knotted strings to record information. Now, you might have heard of the Incas using these. Well, get this. The people of Caral were using them 2,000 years before the Inca Empire even existed. This is the oldest quipu ever found anywhere. So, for 1,200 years, this peaceful, innovative society thrived. They built pyramids, they mastered trade, they created art and music. But then, around 1800 BCE, it all just stopped. The cities were abandoned, and the big question is, why?
I mean, how could a civilization that was so organized and so powerful just vanish off the face of the earth? We know they weren't conquered in a big war. So what happened to the people of Caral? Well, the answer, it turns out, wasn't just one single event. It was a catastrophic chain reaction.
Scientists, looking at the geological record, have pieced together this perfect storm of disasters. First, they were hit with long, brutal droughts that would have dried up their rivers. Then, those droughts were followed by massive floods from extreme El Niño events that washed away all their fields. Add to that a series of powerful earthquakes that crumbled their pyramids and caused huge landslides that buried their precious irrigation canals under tons of rock. Their entire system, which was so perfectly adapted to their environment, just collapsed. The very foundation of their society, growing cotton with that river water, was completely wiped out. So after more than 1,000 years of prosperity, the people of Caral had to make an impossible choice. They abandoned their magnificent cities just to survive. But their story doesn't actually end there. The people may have left, but their ideas were too powerful to disappear. The legacy of Caral became the foundation for all the great Andean cultures that came after them. So why does this ancient civilization still matter so much to us today? Because as this quote puts it so perfectly, Caral is the cornerstone of American history. It's the starting point. It's the origin of a cultural tradition that would last for thousands and thousands of years. Their ideas about architecture, building pyramids and plazas, their ways of planning cities, even their religious symbols, all of that was passed down through the generations. It was inherited and adopted by later civilizations like the Chavan, and eventually by the mighty Inca Empire. You could say that Caral's DNA is written right into the stones of Machu Picchu. And that leaves us with one final big thought. Here was a civilization that lasted for over 1,000 years, not through war and domination, but through trade, cooperation, and investing in their culture. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world that's so often defined by conflict, what can the story of America's first peaceful metropolis teach us today?
Hello, my dear friends! If you enjoyed today's adventures, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to receive all the fun and exciting new stuff.